Good morning. My name is Cinnamon Wolf. I am a member of South Valley. I'm also in the fellowshipping process. I'm a candidate, and I receive support from this community in that process. And I also serve as a hospice chaplain up in northern Utah. So thank you all for being here this morning. When I was thinking about this service, I was kind of wondering what might I need right now? And the thought came to me that I need to slow down, that it's busy, and it's been busy for a long time. And there has been a lot of change and transition in my work life, my personal life, the world, and also here at South Valley. And so I thought about kind of slowing down. And so that's kind of the theme for today. I want to acknowledge that we do have a guest today. We have a little bird up in the rafters who is a little too confused to get out. And so I'm reminded of Rumi's guest house, that we greet all who come and welcome them here. So our little bird friend is welcome, although we wish that it would find its way out the door and be able to go home. So I invite you to enjoy our music. This morning is centered around springtime and nature, and I hope that that is a nurturing, joyful sound for you this morning. So I ask you to rise in body or spirit for our in-gathering song, number 330, The Arching Sky of Morning Glows. And Linda will play through once, and then we will sing. chapels.
Please join us in saying our chalice Latin word. We light this chalice for the Lord of love, for the light of truth, and for the energy of action.
So before I give you this welcome that we do every Sunday, I would like to share something with you. It's my birthday, and I got a card yesterday from some friends who said, and it has a picture of a sloth on the front, and it says, "Damn girl, slow that awesome down." So I just wanted to say, hey, this slow down thing, I love that. Meanwhile, as we begin, I'd like you to turn off those little pesky noisemakers in your purse or pocket. And please remember there's a chapel back there where you can go and have a moment of silence and write your joys and concerns in the book, if you'd like. It's really hard on me for this little creature to be stuck in here. And then children are always welcome in the sanctuary, but we do have a video broadcast of the proceedings down in the nursery. And so kids can go down there, wherever you'd like them. Afterwards, are we having the potluck today? No. Okay, so, but we have snacks and coffee and lots of that wonderful camaraderie. Oh.
We have a book sale also at the library.
Okay, book sale today. And go down there, schmooze, whatever. And then please look at your order of service for all the announcements and the things that are in there. Okay, so here's that thing in the words of Rumi that you hear every week, but it's really meaningful, so let's listen to this. Come, come, whoever you are. Whether you come with laughter in your heart or tears, you are welcome here. So, no matter where you've been, no matter where you're going, you are welcome here. No matter what body brought you in the door, no matter who you love, you are welcome here. Whether you believe in God all the time, or some of the time, or none of the time, you are welcome here. If you come here with an open mind, a loving heart, and willing hands, you are welcome here at South Valley Unitarian Universalist Society. Yes.
It's time for all ages. I call everybody who's young or young at heart to come up front. Okay, I am going to read you guys a book about the Blythe Memorial Church. My name is Julianne Best. I am Charlie and Miles' mom, and I also teach Pathfinders. So I was at the library the other day, and I saw this. It's called A Church for All, and I thought, that sounds like our church. I think I should check this out and maybe read it to everybody. So I wanted to read you this story. harps ringing, joyful noises, choir singing, laughing voices, candles glowing, banners glowing. Come enter our church for all. Weak and healthy, neat and messy, poor and wealthy, plain and dressy, all embracing, spirit gracing, each one at our church for all. Bodies wiggling, mommies reading, children giggling, daddies bleeding, toddlers flailing, and babies are wailing. There's room at our church for all. Hands receiving, hands connecting, hearts believing, hearts accepting. Feel the Spirit. Can you hear it? It's here at our church for all. That's it.
Now it's time to sing us downstairs for a minute.
So when I think about slowing down, I think there's one person in recent history that has done it very, very well. And I think that person is the poet Mary Oliver. She took her time, whatever time that she needed, and she spent it in awe and love with nature. So I'd like to read, so I invite you to kind of settle in your seat. Take a deep breath. Listen to the breeze. As I read to you Mary Oliver's poem, My Work is Loving the World. My work is loving the world. Here the sunflowers, there the hummingbirds, equal seekers of sweetness. Here the quickening yeast, there the blue plums. Here the clam deep in the speckled sand. Are my boots old? Is my coat torn? Am I no longer young and still not half perfect? Let me keep my mind on what matters, which is my work, which is mostly standing still and learning to be astonished. The Phoebe, the delphinium, the sheep in the pasture and the pasture, which is mostly rejoicing, since all ingredients are here, which is gratitude to be given a mind and a heart and these body clothes, a mouth with which to give shouts of joy to the moth and the wren, to the sleepy dug-up clam, telling them all, over and over, how it is that we live forever. Please remain seated for our meditation hymn.
It is our practice here at South Valley to split our worship service offerings with a charitable organization or a program that aligns with our values and principles. For May and June, it will go to Flourish Bakery, a supportive community that fosters hope, health, and personal growth while teaching the art and skills of professional baking. Flourish Bakery employs individuals in recovery from substance use disorders, as well as those working to reintegrate their lives after incarceration. Flourish provides a community of support, mentorship, and friendship, and is a space of life transformation. Will you join me in saying the words printed in the order of service for our offering? We are this church. We are its hands, its heart, its voice. Together we share in the wealth of this community and sustain it with our gifts. Flourish Bakery thanks you for your gifts.
with stress, it is so common that it almost feels cliche to speak on. So sorry. I'm sure many here, like me, are at times so stressed and busy that tips on how to cope with stress end up being more stressful. For me, they just multiply an already long list of things to do. Common tips include meditate, do yoga, get more sleep, tidy up, exercise, eat healthy, regularly go to the doctor, drink more water, see a therapist, manage your budget, read this self-help book or that one, get a massage, take a vacation, take a bath with a fancy bath bomb, use essential oils, drink 1 glass of wine at night, go ahead and eat that chocolate, but make sure it's dark chocolate. And go ahead and treat yourself to those new shoes, you deserve it. Isn't it amazing how the list of things to do quickly became a shopping list? Managing stress is very marketable nowadays. Some of these tips are honestly quite helpful. Drinking more water and getting more sleep are probably more important to coping with stress than we realize and can significantly impact our health. Sleep, in particular, is our way of processing what has been happening throughout the day, and it plays an important role in our overall physical and mental health. And personally, I am a fan of bath bombs and essential oils. I love Lush, if anyone's familiar with the Lush cosmetic company. And I'll never turn down some good dark chocolate, especially if I'm feeling stressed. However, these tips often feel superficial and busy when we are genuinely facing difficulties in our lives and significant change. Who has time for a kale smoothie when we're constantly feeling rushed and we struggle to keep up with daily living? And essential oils feel insignificant when facing uncertainty and doubt about our future. The intervention does not always balance out the needs. Rest and relaxation tips are helpful, but they often fail to get to the heart of the situation, especially during times of transition. It is difficult to be in the in-between stages of life. Often these times bring up feelings of anxiety and worry about the future. And it also brings up feelings of anxiety about difficult transitions in our past. One of the most stressful times of transition for me was my first few years of graduate school, which I believe I've shared probably a couple times here. What I may have not shared is that part of what made that a difficult time for me was my experience with what I call gatekeepers. Gatekeepers can have an important role in people's journeys, especially vocational journeys. Gatekeepers have often been where you are now. They are familiar with the pitfalls and dangers of a particular journey, and they may be able to discern early on if this path is fitting or not. Feedback can be quite difficult to hear, but a wise gatekeeper will take the time to listen to you and offer guidance. That was not my experience of gatekeepers. My experience was more like, I don't know if you remember, I believe it's the movie Labyrinth, where there's a bunch of like rocks yelling, "Go back, turn around, don't go that way." That was my experience. It felt very dismissive and abusive. I encountered academic gatekeepers who, instead of taking the time to counsel us, used intimidation and cruel bluntness to weed out the weak. They used horror stories about how difficult it is to succeed in academia and stated, literally, I quote, "If you struggle to keep up now, get out." At the time, I was young, inexperienced, anxious, and insecure. In other words, I was vulnerable, I took the words of people who did not know me and falsely applied them to my own narrative. I believed that this was a sign that I did not belong and I would never make it in academia. Discerning a path to ministry wasn't much easier. I remember an encounter with the minister that was particularly disturbing. A friend introduced him to me and shared that I was discerning ministry, and then she walked away to do something else. His first and only advice to me was to caution against pursuing ministry if my desire was to fulfill a narcissistic need to be the center of attention. I had never met the man before. He did not know me, and this was his only advice. Of course, at the time, being already nervous and insecure, I wondered again if this was a sign that I shouldn't go down this path. It was a more hurtful experience than it should have been. I have since learned not to give strangers that much power over my journey and my sense of self-worth. I share these stories to illustrate that the narratives we tell have emotional impacts on others and ourselves. My experiences with gatekeepers, paired with my own insecurities, made me feel like I didn't belong. I even tried to leave. I took off for a semester to give myself a break and time to discern if this was the path for me. It was a blessing, sort of, that when I took a break, I ended up working in a call center and I hated it. So I was quite ready to go back to grad school. I still struggled with the pace of graduate school. So I made the only decision I felt I could make at the time. I cut back my hours and went part-time. Although it felt like a necessary decision at the time, I still felt a lot of shame about going part-time. I felt like something was wrong with me, that I couldn't keep up with my peers, and I was embarrassed about the financial realities of taking out more time. I still carry much of that shame today. But I don't think that shame is serving me well anymore. And I do not want my negative experiences to be turned into a negative gatekeeping experience for someone else. I believe someone else before me, it might have been Reverend Bob, has mentioned the Netflix comedy special Nanette by Hannah Gadsby. Has someone brought that up before? I don't remember. Anyways, it's a comedy special on Netflix by a comedian named Hannah Gadsby. And if you haven't seen it, I suggest you watch it. For a comedy special, it is quite moving and sincere. Hannah shares her criticism of comedy and the tendency to use self-deprecation. She shares how comedy kept her telling the same negative narratives, which in turn kept her personally stuck and prevented her from recognizing the positive woven throughout her narratives. And it prevented her from achieving personal growth. For those who may not know, Hannah Gadsby is a lesbian, and she talks about her very kind of negative coming out experiences. And she shared that because she had focused so many years of telling this story in comedy, that she never recognized how her story had changed and how the people who first rejected her had now accepted her and loved her and were supporting of her. And so it was keeping her in a reality that no longer existed. So I'm going to take Hannah's cue. I'm reframing my own narratives. There are positive aspects of my stories as well. Going slow allowed me to work through my anxieties and my insecurities. It allowed me the time to grow in my academic skills and to build my confidence. And going slow meant that I got the privilege to meet so many more wonderful people who were on the same journey that I was, many of whom are still some of my closest friends today. Going slow also meant that I was able to find mentors who nurtured my journey rather than scared me away. Two of those mentors taught me the very same lesson I had stumbled into on my own. They taught me the importance of slowing down. The first mentor was my clinical pastoral education supervisor. Clinical pastoral education is a chaplain training program. It's like an internship where you are gaining practical knowledge of the field by serving as a chaplain in a hospital. But it's also a group learning environment where we reflect on who we are as chaplains and ministers, what is helpful to us and those we serve, and what is not. It's a very introspective process. You're looking in quite a bit. Supervisors play sort of a gatekeeping role, but unlike the gatekeepers I shared about before, this supervisor was a mentor first. His feedback was based on listening first, not on scary stories meant to intimidate. He counseled us and supported us. This wasn't always easy or pleasant. There were times when I was called out and I had to face some difficult realities about myself. But more than that, I felt supported. It wasn't all or nothing. We were taught instead to learn from our mistakes, to reflect, and to grow. And we were taught specifically to slow down. When we are busy, which we often were in the hospital, we tend to make mistakes. If we are rushing and anxious, we tend to rush through important details, and we tend to not be that supportive presence for those who need it. Our supervisor literally told us to slow our walking pace, to breathe more intentionally, to take our time with people and with our documentation. I often think of those words today, when instead of walking between visits with patients as a hospice chaplain, I am driving, and I need to be even more careful. I often I work up in the Ogden area, and I intentionally take the Legacy Highway instead of I-15. It is slower, there's less traffic, and quite frankly, it's beautiful. I keep an eye out for a hawk or a heron. I enjoy noticing the clouds stretched out over the big sky. And with all the rain we've had recently, I enjoy noticing the glimmer of light on the pools of water mixed in with the tall grasses. There's even a little trailhead where I will often park at and do some of my documentation there. And our nice cool breezes have been quite beautiful lately. Going slower allows me to appreciate my surroundings. My breath slows and I am calm as I allow nature to nurture me throughout the day. It is when I am most stressed that I need those precious moments of serenity and beauty. Slowing down isn't just about cultivating calm. It is also about allowing time for necessary reflection, which is what I learned from another mentor, a spiritual care professor, Dr. Kathleen Greider. She taught that slowing down was necessary to give time to be reflective, which, according to her, is more than reflecting after the fact. So when the moment is past and later on we're looking back, she called that reflection, and that was natural. But she wanted us to push us further. She wanted us to be able to reflect and be aware throughout the day, to be reflecting even in the moment. Many would use the word mindfulness. We attempt to be mindful and aware of what is impacting us in the moment, and sensitive and aware of what may be coming up for others in the moment. Moving slower throughout our day, in particular in times of stress and transition, It gives us time, hopefully, to be mindful and less reactive in our thoughts and our deeds. We are at South Valley are in the midst of transition. We have already experienced the loss of Reverend Hattie and Lou, and by loss I mean they moved away. Gotta be careful with that word. And we will soon face the loss of Reverend Bob, our interim minister, and our religious exploration director, Liz. We will be getting a new interim minister, and we are beginning the year-long process of searching for a settled minister. As sad as we are to see those that have been our leaders go, we may also be anxious about who and what comes next. Many congregations who have been where we are now are in a hurry to hire a new minister and an RE director. And the specifically timed process of the search process may feel painfully slow. But slow is okay. Slow gives us time to reflect. Slow gives us time to appreciate the present moment, to appreciate how wonderful our community already is. Slow allows us to make thoughtful decisions fueled by joy and gratitude, and not hindered by anxiety and uncertainty. Moving forward, I want to invite you to reflect on what you appreciate about South Valley, what you appreciate about living here in Utah. I invite you to appreciate and reflect on the journeys that brought you to where you are today. If you are in the midst of stress and transition in your own life, try slowing down. It's not a cure-all. Just like a bubble bath isn't going to wash away all your troubles. But hopefully it will help you be more mindful and careful. And I do need to interject just so that my mother doesn't bug me later. By slowing down, I don't mean procrastination, although that often is my default. Procrastination is sometimes a necessary form of distraction. Sometimes we do need that mental break, and we do need to think about something else. But what I mean about slowing down is to come back or keep moving forward with what we need to focus on, but to not be hurried or rushed, to give ourselves the time to do what we actually need to do in a thoughtful manner. And there are times when we might be rushed. At work, I have deadlines, and those deadlines are important and quite solid. But I don't need to add my own anxiety or my own insecurities to the rush of the day. And also, at least slow down on the road. If anything, that's one of the most important messages. Just don't do it in the fast lane, because you will get a ticket here. And finally, allow yourself to be nurtured by nature. We have been blessed this year with an actual springtime that did not hurry into summer temperatures. I have been very grateful for that and very grateful for the rain. Enjoy the greenery and the blossoms on the trees, even if you need to enjoy them with some Claritin or Zyrtec. We have a chance to celebrate spring. Following the service, we will have a maypole right outside. So I invite you to go outside after the service and enjoy the maypole. And I invite you to be patient with yourself and with those around you. Let that patience guide you. Let it remind you that we are in this together and that we are here to support one another and love each other. And also remember that we are not alone in this journey and in this search process. we have mentors and guides that are helping us through. So thank you for your time today. I think it was a message on slowing down, but ended up being quicker than I thought it was going to be. But I think we have a lot going on afterwards. So enjoy your time together as a community. Please rise and bow your spirit for our closing hymn, number 1005 in the teal hymnal, Praise in Springtime, and Linda will play once through first.
Thank you.